back to the Other On Cinema podcast, a podcast in which myself, Ramsey, an On Cinema super fan, watches through the show with my guest host, Caleb, who has never seen the show. Today, we're going to be talking about Season 2 of On Cinema. Before we get into that, though, Caleb, how are you doing?
I'm doing quite well. How are you, Ramsey?
You know, I'm not doing super great. I have some bad news. We lost the Dude Wipes sponsorship.
Oh, no. What?
They did not like that you said wipe the gay away.
Okay. So
It sort of implies that they're pro-gay conversion therapy, which they're not. Dude Wipes is a very accepting and inclusive company. They just want to offer a non-gay way to wipe your ass because previously that was not available on the market. But it's okay. I'm currently in talks with a new sponsor. We're working out the contract right now. We're going to be sponsored by the Boondock Saints poster company. They're in a little bit of a PR problem right now because a report came out that exposed that about 80% of their revenue is from purchases by ICE agents, which doesn't look good for them. So they're seeking us out to sponsor so we can hopefully help them, broaden their audience. So, dear listeners, please do not let these freaks and losers over at ICE sully the good name of the Boondock Saints. So go out and buy a poster. Do it for me. Do it for America, and most importantly, do it for Norman Reedus. Caleb, how do you feel about Norman Reedus?
he's a national hero.
I really like him in Blade 2, but I gotta say, I realized something recently. I always say his full name, Norman Reedus, but I just realized his first name is Norman, which is a nerd's name, and he's a pretty gruff-looking dude.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that's why.
He owns a motorcycle. He's not a nerd.
I'm sure he's the one who insists on being called Norman Reedus, full name.
Yeah, so I don't know how I feel about that. I feel a little misled. But anyway, this is the Other On Cinema podcast, the podcast in which we talk about Norman Reedus.
Sometimes.
Anyway, season 2 on cinema. So yeah, last week you said you weren't super into it, but I feel like this season we're getting a little bit more to chew on with these characters. They're expanding the universe a little bit. So something I wanted to talk about before we just kind of generally get into talking about the episode is so the Tim character and the Greg character in universe, like, who do you think these guys are?
Okay, so I definitely feel like, and I'm probably completely wrong on this, but Greg seems like the kind of person that would work at a video rental store. Back in like 2013, it's definitely the video rental store he's working at is about to shut down for sure. I can guess that that's where a good like starting layer of his VHS tape collection came from. And then Tim, I'm thinking, is like a blue collar worker, Gen X, kind of like boomer type, but not a boomer. He's Gen X. He's like a Gen X boomer, who probably worked as like an assembler, or he started off as like an assembler, for I know people who like worked at Boeing, and he strikes me very similar to people I know who used to work at Boeing. So I'm guessing he started off as like some sort of assembler or electronics testing, and then just became like a project lead or like a manager, and just had not worked a real job, like a real like with his hands in like 20 years, and doesn't even understand the privilege that he has. Yeah, that's sort of who I think that these two are, and I think that Tim went to rent a DVD because I think he talked about not having Netflix Direct or Netflix Now or Netflix.
Well, I think it was actually Greg who said that. But,
oh, okay.
But Tim in 2013 still strikes me as someone who's still going down to rent a DVD.
Yes.
Yeah, that's an interesting take on it. Honestly, you put a lot more thought into it than I have.
Because I think they would run in, like, Tim would be talking to Greg, or Greg would want to talk his ear off about, oh, you should check out this movie. It's not that great, but it'll kill the 2 hours it takes to watch it.
Just to jump forward a little bit, when Greg brings up the first popcorn classic, which I believe is that
is it Multiplicity?
No, it's not Multiplicity. Yeah. It's I forget the name of the movie, but he's like, yeah, this movie's not very good. And Tim says it's like, yes, it will fill the amount of time it takes to watch this movie, which I thought was very funny. But yeah, no, that's an interesting take on it. I've never honestly really thought about like what Tim's profession would have been before the show, because I just always assumed his life was doing this show. But I think that's a good read on it. He definitely strikes me as someone who doesn't understand his privilege and thinks he worked a lot harder to get to where he was than he actually did. So another question I had for you. So I think it becomes, so in the first season and on the podcast, you can tell that Tim finds Greg annoying, but it becomes very clear that Tim fucking hates Greg in this season.
Yeah. Why
are they doing this show together? Like, why do you think Tim is choosing to spend time with Greg doing this project with him?
Because again, like with Tim and sort of his boomerness and his unknown like privilege, it rubs people the wrong way. And so I think Greg is like one of the only people that can stand to be in the same room as Tim. And Tim needs someone else to be there. I mean, he keeps saying that it's him as the host, and he's got guests on, but so far he's had Greg and 2 other guests total, and they only were on for a single episode. One of which was a phone call during the podcast, which is when they're still figuring out the structure of the show. And then the other being Ayaka, I think, the Japanese foreign exchange student who basically kind of has to do whatever Tim says because she's a foreigner who barely speaks the language. So I think that Tim literally doesn't have anyone else he can get on the show, at least at this point, with my understanding of kind of the unbearableness of his character, that I'm sure he has that effect on the people that he interacts with in real life.
Yeah, it's interesting you're already picking up on that, because I feel like that becomes much more abundantly clear as the show goes on. I think part of it, too, is I think it's a mix of things. It's both that he fucking hates Greg, and his goal in life is to humiliate and embarrass Greg. But at the same time, Tim... yeah, he doesn't have anyone else, and Greg will always show up for him. And there's, not to spoil too much, but there's going to be various different periods throughout the show where Tim is like fundamentally dependent on Greg. And it's an interesting dynamic. And yeah, I mean, I basically, like, ultimately I don't think it matters that much, but it is fun to talk about because it's a mystery. They're never going to reveal why these two choose to spend time around each other, because I think the mystery of it adds to the humor. Yeah. But yeah, it was interesting that you were picking up on that. I mean, why do you think Greg continues to do the show? Because Tim obviously is. I mean, at this point, he's starting to verbally abuse him.
Yeah, and he was bullying my sweet, confidently incorrect Greg, and it bothered me. Even though I know that Greg was just straight up lying. He was just saying lies and saying things that were outlandish and ridiculous, and kind of insane, but casually insane. And I'm glad that Tim stood up for himself finally, but he didn't need to be so mean about it, and it made me feel bad for Greg. But yeah, I mean, I think Greg has a thick skin, and I think that he also just this is why I say that I see a lot of myself in Greg. I think he does just enjoy having a platform to be able to listen to himself speak. And so that's what Tim and On Cinema provides for Greg. So Greg is getting something out of it. I think also Greg probably doesn't. I don't think of Greg as like an unbearable person like I can imagine Tim is, but I think that Greg just probably also doesn't have a huge social network either, and isn't very outgoing in that regard either. And so this this dynamic just sort of gets to perpetuate itself off of its own passive, low effort toxicity.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's a pretty correct read on it. Yeah, before we kind of get into just talking about things we found funny or interesting about the season, I was curious. So the big plot line throughout this season is that Tim has blood clots on his brain. It's not
6.
a tumor.
Yes.
Well, it increases to 12 later.
It does. Yeah, multiplies.
And he decides to not have them operated on. How do you interpret that? What do you think, from what you know of his character right now, how do you interpret that?
Well, there is big boomer energy there where he doesn't want to face the fact that he could die. He doesn't want to face his own mortality. He's happy in his cushy, privileged life, and to accept that he has a very serious medical condition, it means that he could die, which is accepting his mortality. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to live, in this sort of imagined fantasy world of himself where he's not subject to the same sort of frailties that every human really is. Also, he doesn't want to be vulnerable in general, I don't think. And so it's almost like this avoidant behavior to avoid kind of accepting the reality of I guess his vulnerability, his frailty. And then, that gets exploited by the terrible doctor that he's seen, which says that they don't need to operate. They can use I forget what the term was, but like this like new age holistic health.
I'm laughing because a terrible new age doctor will play a very important role throughout the show.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. I like any time someone who does not deserve any credentials wears like a lab coat and pretends to have authority.
Well, I'm really looking forward to once we get to that part of the show. Yeah, no, I think that all makes sense. I mean, with myself knowing the context of everything that happens, I also think a lot of it is Tim is fundamentally suicidal and wants to die.
Okay.
I mean, I should say they actually provide a concrete explanation as to why he was not getting the surgery at the start of season 3, which we'll get to. But even with that explanation, Tim is fundamentally someone who very much flips between being an extreme narcissist and someone who does not want to be on this mortal coil.
Okay. A very fragile, an individual with a very fragile ego.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they had that worked out with the character at this point, but
yes.
Cool. Well, yeah, let's just, I guess, jump into going through the season. One thing I wanted to ask, so this isn't the first time Greg mentions this, but at the top, he mentions that he appreciates all the cards and letters they've been receiving, requesting him back on the show. Do you think they're actually getting cards and letters?
Out of universe? No. No, they are not. There's not a single chance that they are.
Well, even
in universe.
Do you think in universe anyone is watching this show?
The show kind of reminds me of like, I don't even know the actual, like Screen Junkies. I think they do like a very like nerdy podcast about like Star Wars and stuff. I feel like they're toying with the idea at this point. They're toying with the idea of like, hey, this is some meaningless, podcast drivel on YouTube, much like there is meaningless drivel about different like movie franchises that, and they're successful, like these like terrible podcasts and like nerdy YouTube channels. They do exist that are like successful. So I think they're toying with the idea that it's a moderately, somewhat bare minimum successful series.
Sure.
That's what I think. I think that, so maybe in future seasons we'll find out that's not the case, or we find out that it is.
Well, I'll just say in future seasons, they make it very clear how Tim is funding everything that's going on.
Okay, see? And that's why I think, because Tim and this project reminds me of like Neil. Do you know about Neil Breen?
I've heard that name, but who's Neil Breen?
Neil Breen, he's kind of like the second coming of Tommy Wiseau.
What movies has he done?
Oh, I can't think of the names right now because I went through and I watched all not all his movies, but I watched like one or two.
I've heard the name Neil Breen. I'm sorry, listeners. I'm gonna look this up because it's driving me nuts.
So he's someone who basically, saved up a bunch of money while he was working as like an engineer or something, and then just started making his own movies, just financing them directly from his like savings account. And that's the vibe that I get from Tim with On Cinema, is that like he's just made money from working like some fucking low skill job, blue collar job that he got in, before wages were just completely slashed. So he just managed to make a bunch of money not working that hard and just saved it all up almost on accident, but just being overpaid basically. And then just is like, this is what I want to do. I don't know how to do any of this well, but I'm just gonna do it, and just is doing On Cinema and financing it all from his savings account basically. I feel bad that I always reference movies, and but I feel like with Neil Breen in particular, like for On Cinema, it will help to know who Neil Breen is, because he's such a good, like, I don't know, he's such a key like terrible filmmaker that is like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people who listen or watch On Cinema will know who Neil Breen is. No, Neil Breen, I think the movie the title I want to say, which I know is not it, is like Second Comings, but I know that that's not it. Fateful Findings.
Also, I'm looking through a list of the so bad it's good movies on IMDb, and the 2006 Silent Hill movie is popping up on here, and that makes me angry because I actually think that movie is very good. Which is funny because the next one is Silent Hill Revelation, which is a terrible, terrible movie. I wouldn't even say it's so bad it's good. It's just a bad movie. But anyway, I'm saying official stance of this podcast, the 2006 Silent Hill movie, very good. I mean, it's not great, but it's underrated.
I've not seen it. I saw the clip where Pyramid Head comes out. I've seen that. But yeah, no, that's just 100% the vibe that I get. I mean, Tim's not as weird. Like Neil Breen's a very strange individual. Like, yeah, he's just a very, very strange individual. Whereas Tim is just kind of boomer, boring, lame, dyslexic, illiterate.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, let's just talk about the first episode. I thought the first episode had some really great name mispronunciations. Can't even say that word myself. Yeah, especially when he says he's having trouble saying Jude Law, and then he finally says Jude Law, from Jude Law.
Yes.
And then Jason Batman.
I don't know if it's from the same episode, but Steven Soderbergh directed Channing Tatum.
It's pretty good. So the second episode, I think this is the one where Tim kind of berates Greg, but the beginning of it, when Tim is just choking and gagging on the popcorn.
It's stale.
is really funny, especially when he's trying to say James Gandolfini and he keeps saying James Gandalf, and Greg says from The Hobbit.
From The Hobbit. Yeah, and also I noted that they make a note on the popcorn being stale, which would, lead it to being stuck in one's throat. And I thought, this television show, this program is stale popcorn personified.
Sure.
I don't know if it's from the same episode as well. Oh no, it's definitely not. Guy Hard.
Didn't catch that one. I've watched this season so many times, never have caught that one. I don't think that is from this episode. But I did want to point out, so when Tim is berating Greg, like what are your feelings on Tim's reaction to Greg? Because he starts doing that because Greg was just like, yeah, this animated movie should have not been animated, so that you can see the actors.
Well, he said specifically Brendan Fraser, and I think he also he said that Brendan Fraser was not some fatso like Mel Blanc that you don't want to see on screen, and said that, oh, everyone loves Brendan Fraser, he should have been filmed not animated. And it's just like, they were doing an animated movie. What, like, no level of it made sense. So I think, and Greg had been saying insane, casually just saying insane stuff like that, and insisting that stubbornly the entire run of the show and the podcast. And so I felt a bit happy and cathartic that Tim stood up for himself and stood up for sanity for a moment, stood up for the filmmakers. But yeah, I just felt like he was being too mean. He didn't need to be that mean, but obviously he let his resentment bubble up, and then he lashed out at Greg.
One of my favorite parts of this season is specifically after Tim knocks the popcorn out of his hands, and then he's just kind of sitting there and he's slowly going to grab the other thing of popcorn. And then that part's great.
I thought Greg going for Tim's popcorn right after that was fucking legendary. I was like, this is, yeah, no, see, I didn't get anything like that in the first season, but with this season
the first season in the podcast is really dry. I mean, we're starting to cook here in season 2. I think it's just going to get better and better. So I don't know if this is necessarily the next episode, but we've got our first appearance of Joe Estevez.
Yes.
What do you know about Joe Estevez?
All I know is that I didn't know he existed. I thought he was Emilio Estevez because
they look very similar.
At least when they were younger. I don't know about now, but when they were younger, they looked literally identical. Like, they looked like the same person. So I just thought they were the same person. Turns out they're not. I looked up I did a very cursory glance at Joe's IMDb page. And boy, does he work a lot. And
yeah, he's kind of famous for being not even like a B movie actor. Like, he'll do anything sort of actor. I've listened to some interviews with Tim talking about Joe. Well, just for context, so Joe's going to be one of the major characters in the show throughout. I think Kim and Mark are probably the two. Mark Proch are like the two, like other. Like, in terms of screen time, the most important side characters in the show. But I listened to an interview with Tim, and he first kind of found out who he was because he went to some like sort of backyard screening of a friend of his, and they were playing a Joe Estevez movie, and he was like, who is this guy? And his friend was like, yeah, so I was getting my car towed, and the tow truck driver gave me a DVD of a movie he made. that he just like was able to hire Joe Estevez to be in, who, you know, I mean, he's part of the Estevez family. He's Charlie Sheen's uncle. You'd think he could get like better roles. He's not a bad
Especially
actor.
he looked
like either.
Actually, I thought too. I was like, oh, is this Martin Sheen? He looks like just like Martin Sheen as well.
Yeah. So I guess they like specifically sought him out to be on the show. But anyway, the sequence of Tim reading out all of his film credits,
every single one,
it's very, very funny.
I don't know if it's every single one, because I'm sure that would take like 3 hours.
It went on, like I counted it. It went on for like 3 minutes straight.
Yeah, and I use a browser extension called Sponsor Block, which skips the core functionality is it skips ad reads on YouTube. But I turn it off on cinema because it'll skip like all the stingers and all the, and I feel like that is essential for the experience. So anytime I watch on cinema, I turn it off. But it marked that entire section as unrelated tangent.
That's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going for like 3 minutes.
But
there.
I feel like he was doing that. The character at least was listing every single project, every single credit that Joe Estevez was in, basically because he didn't want to fucking see Greg's segment.
And that's gonna be a core theme of the show. Something I wrote down here is I noticed Tim, I think more than any other season, breaks the most
in this season.
And you probably wouldn't notice it if you didn't like know like Tim's break, but when he's trying not to laugh, he gets this little smirk where he goes like,
oh, I saw the smirk all the time.
Yeah, that's him not trying to laugh. Like you'll see it like especially in the Oscar specials, because like they do those live and they don't really edit out like much of the flubs or anything.
Yeah,
and like Greg makes Tim laugh a lot.
Well, Greg's the actor. Greg's the best. He's a true pro. I think that Greg, when he does his like smarmy duck face, my guess is that that's him trying not to break while still staying in character. And if he does that duck face, then he can put his laughter energy into making that face, and it makes him even more in character. But yeah, if that's the most we see, other than the live specials, I'm guessing, if that's the most we see Tim break, that's very impressive. Because
yeah, I mean, he never like completely. Well, there's one. This is going to be way down the line, but there is one moment during one of the Oscar specials where you can just see him just like outright like laugh.
Yeah,
and like you could also see Greg taking a lot of joy in making Tim laugh like that.
That's good.
But yeah, so moving on, let's see. The next note I had is really love the line where Tim says, maybe Bryan Singer's name should be Bryan Director.
Yeah, it's just like, well, he didn't start off as a director.
And then the whole sequence where they're arguing about the popcorn classic My Giant, on whether or not like Billy Crystal and the other actor, they use CGI or not to simulate their height difference. Do you remember that part? I thought that part was really funny.
What movie were they saying was the Star Wars prequels were they were the landmark where they could do
CGI, which I mean that would have been like let's see, The Phantom Menace came out in 1999.
99. They're like, see, it came out. Tim was like, see, it came out in 98. It couldn't be.
I mean, not to bring up Blade 2 again, but that movie, you know, but both the Blade movies had CGI in them. So
that's true. They both did. But the second one, gosh, I'm being Greg again. The second one, it had more.
It's true.
It had more CGI.
Spawn
had a lot of CGI. Well,
some really bad CGI.
Really bad CGI.
Anyway,
they couldn't do it back
Another thing I found very funny was Tim giving a long explanation on how to use the phrase "we're not in Kansas anymore."
You know, like if you're flying from Kansas, you can say when you leave Kansas and it's crazy out there, we're not in Kansas anymore.
It's really true. It's a great observation, Caleb.
Thanks. I forget which episode it is. I'm going to start listing my notes by episode now going forward. But Tim at some point thanks Greg for being on the show towards the beginning of the show. Greg thanks Tim back, and Tim jolts like a rescue dog being pet. And also Tim, when talking about a movie with The Rock in it, says, "This movie stars Dwayne Johnson. I guess he's not going by Rock anymore."
Season 1, they didn't really go into, Tim's political gripes, but this season we start to see that come through with Tim's 60-second soapbox,
of which he had 48 seconds.
Yeah,
content.
that was a note I put. It's like he didn't even he has so many grievances around this stuff, but he can't even fill a minute explaining to them.
No, and he
and ending it with, and we need to make sure to make a promise to our seniors.
We need to make a promise to our seniors. Yeah, he had only one thing to rant about, and it was about deregulating and not taxing corporations. And he stopped himself from saying so they can do whatever they want, and said so they can have more independence, and then had literally no other issues to talk about, and had to make something up at the last 12 seconds.
I love the little picture of Tim with the little bullhorn that pops up.
Yeah, where his arm is cut out and hinged, like a Tim and Eric, edit.
Okay, so I think the funniest part of this season to me was Greg being completely unwilling to talk about the Carrie remake because he didn't want to spoil it. I just thought that was so fucking funny, especially because the clip that they show at the beginning when they're introducing the movie is the ending of the movie.
Yeah,
I don't know if you picked up on that.
It's the entire town destroyed.
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, in the wake of Carrie's explosion. I caught up on. I mean, there's so many layers. It's like poetry at Ryan's. Yeah, about the fact that literally the clip they use just shows Carrie in a destroyed town where she's obviously responsible for it. The fact that it's the remake, so everyone already knows how it ends.
Which, I mean, that's a fucking joke, and that's what Tim is saying is that this is like a 40-year-old movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, when Greg is refusing to give his rating, and Tim is like, "Well, how would that spoil anything for anyone?"
Yeah,
and he's like, "Fine, I'll give it 5 bags of popcorn." But there's a curtain around the popcorn, so you can't see it. And he's just like, well, you just, okay.
No, there's a curtain around the popcorn. You can just see one. Is that?
It's something like that. It's something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see again, that's one of those moments where I'm like, I feel like Tim is right in being, but he seemed annoyed, but still going along. It seemed like a healthier annoyed that time. There's times where I'm like, okay, I'm on Tim's side on this one. Because Greg's being kind of insane.
Yeah, I mean, despite as horrible of a person that Tim is, I tend to be more of a Tim head than a Greg head.
Really, so far I'm more Greg head. I see a lot of my negative qualities in him.
I know I would be very annoyed by Greg in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so moving on, we get the first appearance of Ayaka.
First appearance? She's coming back.
No, she's going to be a very important character in the show. moving forward. So how did you interpret that whole episode? I mean, the episode itself is just very funny that Ayaka like doesn't understand the like rating system, and you can tell Tim is like trying not to get annoyed at her for not understanding the rating system. That all is funny, but like just the whole interaction. I want to hear your thoughts there.
I mean, okay, so here's the deal: is I used to work at a music store, and we run into people. There's a lot of Tims in the world, and they come into music stores and they want to buy guitars and they want to talk to the music store employees, and complain about their wives, and tell us their their very privileged political takes. And Tim reminds me of those people. I feel like Tim is playing older, like an older personality than him, the actor, really is. Like, it seems like he's playing like 20 years older than he really is. And so it just felt like Tim, the character, has this. I don't know why there's a foreign exchange student from Japan that he's spending time with, having lived at his home temporarily, but it just is a kind of creepy relationship dynamic. It makes me feel like, oh, he is this kind of person who is like resentful towards his wife and wants this young girl around to leer at, and I don't know, feel something with. It's kind of gross. That's my interpretation, and then having her on the show, he's giving her a lot more grace than he gives Tim, or gives Greg, because she's cute and well intentioned and not as annoying as Greg.
Yeah, no, you can definitely tell like he's just like leering at her the entire time, and it's so creepy. Fun fact, so the actress who plays Ayaka, she's actually a production designer on the show.
Oh,
who I don't think has any like acting credits or anything. Maybe she does, I don't know, but not a lot.
I think it works. It works to. I mean, these people making the show, I feel like they really understand. Like, they have to either be like brilliant comedians and actors like Tim and Greg, or they have to be like really there's nothing in between. You can't have anything in between, I feel. Otherwise, it kind of breaks it. It's being presented as like outsider art, essentially, right? Like, it's supposed to be kind of shitty. You want people who aren't that good at acting to be acting.
Yeah, you have to be a very talented actor to kind of exist in this universe, because like if you come in and like try to be funny, it's not going to work.
No.
You know.
Yeah.
And that's why I think Joe Estevez, yeah, I haven't like watched anything he's been in, but there's scenes in the show where I just think that like I think his performances they're very subtle and very incredible, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on, we have the next note I had was I found it the whole interaction of Tim like trying to take over the Popcorn Classic with the Dennis Leary tape. Which, I mean, yeah, if you're going to talk about Gen X, like, comedy, Dennis
that's
Leary.
The epitome of it.
Yeah, I thought that was very funny. But yeah, we get another Stump the Buff. We had a Stump the Buff in the podcast, and we get it again here. What did you think about that?
I mean, I was surprised I mean, the questions they had him trying to answer were really, really hard questions, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Yeah,
those they were genuinely difficult questions. It was unfortunate. I wasn't expecting them to give such difficult questions that he would realistically lose on every single one.
Well, not all of the questions were that hard. The one about Martin.
I felt like that was the most successful one.
And Greg
Steve
had
Martin movies.
The Steve, Steve Martin. That's what I mean to say.
Martin Freeman.
Martin Freeman, Steve Freeman, Martin Freeman, Morgan Freeman. These are actors who exist. Anyway, yeah.
Martin Lawrence. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm doing Greg.
Yeah, his whole like trying to justify like, well, how are you defining a decade? And then like Tim's like, well, even if you defined it that way, you'd still be wrong. That was really funny. But yeah, and then we end the season with Tim having a very somber moment, basically saying he's accepted that he's going to die.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really love, so a reoccurring thing that Tim does is calling things junk. And I think this is the first time you hear that when he calls Scary Movie 5 or whatever. Yeah, I don't like this stuff. It's just junk.
It's junk.
Just the way he says it. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the C word. That starts with a J instead.
Junk?
Yeah. Yeah.
It'd be junt.
Well, yeah.
Those are different sounds.
Yeah, but they are similar.
Sure.
They're both, you can say both with some real stank on them.
You junt. See, junt just sounds funny.
Junt.
I'm going to junt you. My junty little friend.
I got a junt in my head. It's got to be turned off before my MRI.
Yep. But yeah, that's the season. So how are you feeling about it now? This one's a little bit, there's more to it than season 1 in the podcast. Does it feel a little less pointless to you?
It's a little less. Tim's dead now, so the show's over, right?
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to say this is the last episode. Please go out and buy those Boondock Saints posters. My livelihood depends on it.
Yeah, and please, put them up in your living room and get your family and gather around and just appreciate them. Appreciate Boondock Saints. For all the joy that has brought college age young men through the years.
So I had a college roommate who had both a Boondock Saints and a Fight Club poster in our dorm room.
Both?
Yeah.
I feel like if you watched Fight Club, you'd be like, well, okay, Boondock Saints is still good, but like, come on. Fight Club's way better. Like, I feel like you'd be like, okay, well, like, obviously I want something with more substance than the Boondock Saints.
This is just a digression, but so when I was a freshman in college, which would have been 2010, there was a guy in my dorm who actually, like, I don't know if he started a Fight Club or... Yeah.
Okay.
Or if he just went to a Fight Club and he said he went and like did a fight from Fight Club and he was just like, yeah, it fucking sucked. And
you
like
don't say.
Me and the rest of my friends were like, yeah, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Have you watched have you ever seen like UFC or any mixed martial arts?
I mean, a little bit, but
bro, I watched. I've got friends who still watch like UFC, and they'll invite me over, and I'll go and hang out because I'm just hanging out with my friends. But like, bro, it's so violent, and like I'm like, especially when someone gets. A lot of the times they're just hugging, and it's like, okay, well, that's fine. They're just having a good time together. but like sometimes they're like, the worst is like when someone's taken down and they're getting like jabbed in the face and the eyes and stuff. And I'm just like, and their like nose is breaking and like flying and flopping around. I'm just like, bro, that person is going to have permanent disfigurement, permanent brain damage. Like, this is not cool. Like, this is not okay. Like, what? I'm not cool with this. This is not good. This person's life is being destroyed right now. Like, they can't recover from this. Like,
yeah, it's
sorry, I'm going on a
no.
It's just like,
it's interesting.
as a grown adult watching it, when I was a kid watching this, it's like, oh yeah, just fights, da 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 da, because like you get in a fight and the adrenaline flows through you, you don't feel the pain, but it's like, yeah, but like you experience the permanent damage.
Something my dad used to tell me, people say no pain, no game. I say sometimes you get pain, it causes permanent injury.
I think there's a Norm Macdonald bit where it's like, there's that phrase, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Well, I think I find what doesn't kill you leaves you very, very weak.
Yeah, that's true. No, it's funny you say that because like I actually really liked the first couple of Rocky movies when I was in high school, and not because I was into boxing, but they're just good movies. But the plot of the second movie is Rocky doesn't want to be doing boxing anymore. Because it's giving him brain damage. So no, seriously. And so he's trying to do ads, but he can't do them because he's Sylvester Stallone and he can't talk. And so he's basically forced to do boxing again. Is the plot of Rocky 2.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So is a bit of a chicken and the egg situation with the way he talks.
This is the Other On Cinema podcast, the podcast in which we talk about UFC and the Rocky movies. Anyway, that was season 2 of On Cinema. Next episode, we are going to do the first Oscar special. I'm very excited to talk about. Anything you want to tag off with, Caleb?
Steve Carell.
What about him?
He's a very funny guy.
I like Steve Carell.
Steve Carell. He's a good actor, too. He does some dramatic roles.
Yeah. He's good in The Big Short.
Haven't seen that one.
It's a good movie.
I do like Adam McKay, so I should catch up on it.
It's a movie about a big guy who's really short.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm looking forward to that one. I wonder.
Anyway, go out and buy a Boondock Saints poster. If you don't, Norman Reedus is going to step on my balls.